Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper. I have another set of card sketch cards for you today. This time we're going to make some slimline cards, and I'm going to show you some things that I do to find sketches that are suitable for slimline cards and also to alter them when the dimensions are not exactly the same. The paper that I'm going to use today is called Urban Garden and it's from Paper Rose Studio. It has a range of tones from pinks through to reds and also some black and white sheets. There are 12 sheets, 2 sheets each of 6 different double-sided papers. And don't forget they have a strip down the edge that is definitely going to be used in the cards today. And I'm going to use some slimline card bases with envelopes today to make my job easier. I love my tonic cutter and one day I'm going to get one that's big enough to cut 12 by 12 sheets. But until then, there's a little bit of scissor work that I need to do to get ready to make these cards. All but one of the sketches today come from Mojo Monday Sketches by Julie Tillman. Some of the sketches are called Tall and Skinny, and I've used those for today's cards, but they're not as tall and skinny as my cards, so I need to make a few adjustments. My cards are 10 centimeters wide by 21 centimeters tall, and so the way that I adjust is that I use my fingers on my screenshot and drag it out until the width is 10 centimeters. Then I can measure any of the other elements and I know how they'll line up with my 10 centimeter outside. And I can do the same thing for the height. Each of the elements is going to end up a little taller and thinner because that's what my card is, but they still all worked out just fine. Now I'm going to show you one more little hack that I did before I get started on making all of the cards, and then we're going to work through them quite quickly. I know that I'm going to be cutting background papers quite a lot, always to that same size. And so, after I've cut my first black background, slightly smaller, about 9.7 centimeters, I put a piece of washi tape on my cutter so that I can just go back to that same mark. And then for my second background layer, it will be slightly smaller again. And so I've put another piece of tape there. One last little thing that I did over and over was to use the paper that I'd already cut to work out sizes for the next piece, because my cutter isn't big enough to know exactly how many centimeters they are. Okay, that's enough talk about cutting. Let's get on with constructing the cards. I'm going to pop the main measurements on the screen in case anyone's interested in recreating these slimline cards. I'm mostly using glue to layer my papers up, and where we have something hanging off the edge of another element, I'm adding enough layers of paper to level the ground underneath it. We're going to listen to some music while these cards come together, and I'll interrupt every now and again to let you know what's happening. It's not long now until I'm going to need to pack up my craft room and move back to Australia, and so I'm working hard to use up a lot of what I have. If you see a lot of glue shaking in this video, it's because I'm working with glues that are almost out and I really want to use them up. These dots are a real blast from the past. I found them when I was cleaning out my cupboards. And I'm just dropping that paper a few times to help them to lie a little flatter. Don't be like me. Remember to add your panel to your card base before you put those wet dots on it. To create the windows for this card, I used a die called Card Creator 2 and cut this from a piece of white card. I then used the same die across one of the patterned papers and I laid it so that when I cut it, the 3 square panels would end up being 3 flowers. I kept the middles from the white paper and I've used those to stack my flowers so they sit up higher than the background. This next card sketch has a tag element across the bottom, and I'm going to use a really sweet tag from the Banner Trio die set, but it isn't long enough. Luckily for us, the middle part of the tag is going to be hidden, and so we can create the illusion of a longer tag. You'll see me use this Memento Tuxedo black marker quite a few times. I use it whenever the edge of my element is black, just to hide the white core of the cardstock, either when I've cut out a black sentiment or when I've cut out something right up against the lines. It certainly makes my cutting look a lot more professional. Let's add a little etched butterfly to this card. I've cut it from the patterned paper, so it will match exactly. This next card sketch calls for an oval shape, and I've decided to cut mine out as a frame and add a smaller oval in the middle. At this stage of making the cards, I realised that I still had exactly half of my paper pack intact, and so I decided that I would work from only one of each of the 6 sheets in case anybody wanted to make 2 of every card. And so I'm going to start stretching my paper as though I'm running out, even though I have 6 more sheets safely tucked aside. The first thing that I'm doing to stretch my paper is to use a piece that I have that's the right width but not long enough for the space. So I'm cutting that in the middle and lining it up with the top and the bottom, and I'll put a piece of scrap paper in the middle to keep the height level. The second way I'm going to stretch the papers is to literally stretch this fishtail banner die. It's not as wide as the sketch calls for, but because the middle is hidden, once again I'm going to cut it and split it, making sure that I line everything up so that it appears to the eye to be one wide banner. And then for some reason, as I was gluing this piece down, I forgot how far down I was going to stretch it. You could easily make this banner a lot longer, but I clearly had a moment and forgot that's what I was doing. If you don't have a die, you can cut your own fishtail banner of any size by cutting in from the center of your piece and then cutting in diagonally from each corner to the tip of your initial cut, just like I've done with this narrow strip. As I flip this piece over, I'm marking with my fingers where I need to build it up on the back so that it will sit level. You'll notice we've gone straight into this last card without me showing you a sketch. That's because I haven't got one. I'm going to use the scraps of paper that I have remaining as my sketch. And so I'm looking through and finding some of the larger pieces, finding a sentiment that I'd like to use, and then I'm just going to play with those. And I just want to encourage you to have a fiddle. It's your card, you can do what you like. I've chosen lots of the elements that were used in the earlier sketches, a long strip and a circle and all my favourite papers. Once again, I'm going to do the trick with the black pen to make me look like I cut this flower out like a professional. I've had a little fiddle on the page and then glued everything down in a way that pleases me. The last thing I did was to take some envelopes and use some of my scraps to decorate those to match my cards. I hope you've enjoyed these cards and have been encouraged to either play with the sketches that you already have or to create your own. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.